Everything they do is based on what is in it for me. And even if it means I'll get on a higher level, it's me.
Wherever you get your podcasts from, or our own website, prismoftorah.com. This is the Prism of Torah with Rabbi Asaf Aaron Prisman.
Shalom V'Acha. Now that we have been purified by the Heilige Day of Yom Kippur, we have true reason to be besimcha as we go into our Sukkos. And I would like to share with you a very unique idea that can elevate our Chag Sukkos, and it's based on what I saw in Siftei Chaim of Friedlander Zatzal by his Rabbi Rav Dessler Zatzal. We know the famous Gemara in Avodah Zarah where the Goyim come to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to them, you think you deserve Olam Haba? Tell me what you did. And they say to him, what? We did a lot for Klal Yisrael, for them to be able to learn Torah. We created all these marketplaces, bridges, money and gold, and everything was done for Am Yisrael. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells them, you would think he would tell them, you liars, you did it all for yourself. He doesn't say that. Amar lem HaKadosh Baruch Hu, shoitim sheba'olam. You fools, everything you did, you only did for yourselves. This is a famous Gemara in Avodah Zarah, Daf Beis. And the Brisker Rav and also Rav Dessler, on this, they both say, why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu answer in a way, you fools? He should have said, you liars, you only did it for yourself. The answer is, they weren't lying at all. It was the emes. The truth is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu orchestrates the world, that everything, the whole creation was created for Klal Yisrael to be able to do mitzvahs and Torah and connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That was the whole master plan, the blueprint of the world. And hence, they were not lying. Now that they're in Olam Haba, this episode will take place in the world to come. And now, over there, they see the truth, so they're right. So what's going on? What is HaKadosh Baruch Hu exactly? What is he answering them? You fools. Another question we can ask, the Goyim afterwards come to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and say, okay, please, give us another chance. Give us another mitzvah. Give us a mitzvah we'll be able to do and we'll have the right kavanah for it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I have an amazing mitzvah for you. I have an easy mitzvah for you. Sukkah is the name of the mitzvah. Sukkah is the name of the mitzvah, and it's an easy mitzvah, and the words are, Deleis b'ucheson kis. Literally that means, it's not a lot of money. It's very cheap to do. You find a couple pieces of wood and you create a sukkah. And the question begs itself, first of all, what was so unique about the mitzvah of sukkah that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave them that mitzvah? And the last but not least question that we have is, why is the Gemara emphasizing the idea that the mitzvah of Sukkah is something deleis b'cheson kis, which usually is translated to be, it doesn't cost a lot of money. Why is that so important over here? To answer all these questions, I want to share with you this Mordik idea, and we'll build it up. First of all, one should know, as the Ramchal says and others in Derech Hashem, there are two types of mitzvahs. Type number one is that once you're doing the mitzvah, that in itself is doing the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ratzon Hashem, and hence you did something and you get a reward for it as well. That is one type of mitzvah. Even if it's lacking your kavanah, you don't even think about it, you just do it. The etzem fact that you did a mitzvah, that is a huge thing. But then there are other things in the world, that if you don't have any thoughts, any kavanah when you do the maaseh, the actual act, then it's nothing. Such as things that are required for your sustenance in this world, like eating and sleeping, and other things, exercising, working. Those things are totally dependent on your kavanah. If you have the right thoughts in mind for doing those acts, such as, I'm doing this to be healthy, to protect, to take care of my kli that Hashem gave me, my body, or I need to eat, so I have koyach for myself so I can do mitzvahs, then you just flipped over that neutral act and you created that into a mitzvah. Of course, the Rambam and others explain that when you do such a thing, you have to make sure you don't do what the body does. It just wants more and more luxurious, gashmias, and eat more. You just have what you need in order to be healthy. And that proves that you're doing it for the right reason. And that becomes a mitzvah itself. This second type of mitzvah is something that the Goyim could not connect to. And the proof to that is the only sacrifice they can give Hashem is Korban Oila. What's unique about Korban Oila? Korban Oila is Kalila Hashem. It's 100% it goes on the Mizbeach, on the altar for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. As opposed to, let's say, a Korban Shlamim, where the Bailim eat from it as well. And part of the Avodah to connect to Hashem is to elevate the physical and to eat And that is part of the whole process of bringing a korban shlamim to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The goyim have no connection to that. Why? Because they have this warped sense of avodas Hashem that you totally have to give 100% of yourself and just give to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Whereas they don't connect to this either idea of elevating the physical, which is the second type of mitzvah. That's the background that we need in order to move forward with this idea based on Rav Dessler. And so, going back to the famous Gemara in Avodah Zarah, the Goyim say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, okay, we understand. We did an ordinary act that's normal for us to do. We created money and gold and bridges for people to cross and marketplaces. So now, but we didn't have the right kavanah. We didn't have the intention that will be for Klal Yisrael. Now we see it is for Klal Yisrael. So give us a chance. Be fair. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is fair, as the Gemara says. And hence, He gives them another chance. He gives them the mitzvah of Sukkah, where they have the opportunity, even without kavanah. And yes, I know for mitzvah Sukkah is a unique mitzvah. We need kavanah. We need to remember that HaKadosh Baruch Hu put our forefathers in the Sukkah, in the desert. And also the other opinion is that the clouds of glory, Ananei HaKavod, protected us. But bracket that. That's not important for the perspective we're analyzing it. It's enough to sit in the Sukkah and you actually get the mitzvah. And all you're doing is really eating and sleeping in the Sukkah and you're getting a mitzvah. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells them that's the only mitzvah you need to do. And they totally failed. And why is that? Because everything they do is based on what is in it for me. And even if it means I'll get on a higher level, it's me. The Sfas Emes talks about this with Bilam. Everything was for his kavod. He was willing to do anything as long as he gets something for it. There's a famous Gemara that says there's a contradiction. On the one hand, it says if I give money to tzedakah based on the fact that my son will get healed, and that's what he says, I'm giving this to tzedakah, that bischus this, my son will be healed, it says a horrible thing about him. On the other hand, there's another Gemara that says an amazing thing, is a big tzaddik. What's going on? Answer, when it's a yid saying it, he's a big tzaddik. Why? Because he's not doing it only 100% as a means for his son to get cured. Rather, he knows that there's an amazing thing about giving tzedakah. And it's a huge mitzvah. Whereas the goy does it only for the purpose of viewing HaKadosh Baruch Hu as a credit card machine. Here, a bank machine where you take out money. Here, I'm giving you this, give me that. And hence, if he doesn't get what he wants, he'll be upset that he gave the money to tzedakah. That's not a good thing at all. And that's not the attitude we should have. And hence, HaKadosh Baruch Hu tested that point. And he said, here, I'm giving you a mitzvah of Sukkah. And that mitzvah, they failed. Why'd they fail? Because the Hemshech, the continuation of the Gemara, says that when they left the Sukkah, why did they leave the Sukkah? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu created it in a way that will be very, very hot. He took the sun out, and we all know Hamitzta'el patum in a Sukkah. When it's not pleasant at all in the Sukkah, and hence in brackets, we have to ensure that the Sukkah has the best climate situation, environmental conditions for us to be able to dwell in it, just like we dwell in our house. Teishvu ken taduru. Close brackets. And hence, HaKadosh Baruch Hu made it impossible for them to be in the Sukkah in a pleasant environment. And at that point, there's no mitzvah. There's no mitzvah anymore. It says it's a shoite, chasid shoite, a fool stays in the Sukkah. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu set up the system to have it be a mitzvah only if you can be there under normal environmental conditions. And hence, a person that continues to stay in the Sukkah after it rains, there's no point. Right now, for him, it's a waste of time. And hence, when the Goyim realized, wow, there's no more mitzvah anymore, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu put the sun in such a strong way, then they left, and instead of leaving the Sukkah showing, oh, I really wanted to get closer to Hashem, I wanted to do this mitzvah, but I don't have the opportunity, they left it by kicking it, showing, this is nothing. If I cannot get anything out of it and do a mitzvah right now, then it's worth nothing for me. And they just kick it in disgust. And on that, they failed their test. Because their test was to see how are they relating to the mitzvahs. Are they relating to the mitzvahs like we are? That we realize the mitzvah is an end in itself. It's just to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Or no, what is in it for me? It's just a means. I just want my reward. I want my kavod. And that's where they failed. What does this have to do with the other question we asked? We asked, what is this idea of cheson kis? Why is it so important to mention that it's a cheap mitzvah to do? And the answer is, and this is a big chiddush, but it's a moedik idea, perhaps it's al derech hasoid. Kis represents a pocket. A pocket is a kli kibul. It's a vessel that can hold things. And that represents Kis represents that when I'm doing a mitzvah, I'm getting something out of it also, even in the physical sense. And when something doesn't have that limitation, does not have chesron kis, it is not missing this idea, that means it does have this idea. And hence Sukkah, ein chesron kis. There is no lacking of this idea, meaning there is getting something out of it. And you're eating in the Sukkah and you're getting a mitzvah. You're sleeping in the Sukkah and you're getting a mitzvah automatically. And that is something HaKadosh Baruch Hu want to hint to them, this is what I want you to be able to do. That in everything that you do, you can elevate that Gashmias and connect to Hashem. But don't forget that at the end of the day, the idea is to connect to Hashem and not to see what you are getting out of it on your level. It's all to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's how a Yid is supposed to live his life. We all know the famous story about a big Admor that everyone came to see him in his tish, and he was eating and drinking, and this little kid on the side watching the whole thing, he says, what are you getting all excited about? Big deal. I can also eat an apple. I can also have soup. And they all turn to him and say to him, you don't understand. You think that Admor really cares about eating an apple or drinking soup? The only thing he cares about is to be able to connect to Hashem and say the bracha with the proper kavanah. The only way he could do that is if he eats an apple. So he eats an apple. But the eating of the apple is a means. The end is to connect HaKadosh Baruch Hu with the bracha. We should all go through life realizing that all the mitzvahs HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us, and even if the acts that we do that are actually neutral, if we don't have the proper kavanah, we should realize that our journey in life is all about connecting to Hashem and seeing how we can elevate ourselves. And afuch from the goyim, not separate ourselves 100% from the gashmias and physicality of the world, but take that physicality and elevate it. Ensure that our neshama overcomes the guf, just like Moshe Rabbeinu did. He elevated his gashmis. You see the same with Yaakov. Yaakov Avinu, no matter where he was Oved Hashem. He elevated the physical. That's what Sukkos represent. We go outside and we elevate everything that we do in the Sukkah. And we have to take that idea with us throughout the year. That no matter where you are and what you're doing, if you have the right frame of mind, you can elevate the physical. This idea, I think, is portrayed in the strongest way by the fact that by the very holy people in the Goyish Welt, they refrain from drinking wine. Whereas in Yiddishkeit, it's verkehrt. We elevate the wine. We take the wine that we obviously know represents physicality at its best, Gashmias, and we elevate it. We see that in Kiddush. We see that in Avdolah. We see that in Bris Milah. We see it in Pesach. And the climax is on Purim. Every Yom Tov we have a mitzvah to drink wine. And the idea is because we want to show HaKadosh Baruch Hu all the tools He gave us. We want to use them to elevate. Of course, you have to make sure you're balanced and you have it in moderation. Not like the body wants. It has this intuition to just get more and more of this Gashmis. And with that, we answer all the questions we posed. First of all, what's unique about Mitzvah Sukkah? What's unique about it is that we elevate the physical. And just by doing even physical actions in our Sukkah, that is actually elevating what we're doing. And number two, we asked, what's this idea of Cheson Kis? So in Pshat, it's a cheap way of doing a mitzvah. Hashem even tested them on that. But there's a lot of more depth to that. And that is, mitzvah sukkah, even though you are getting something out of it, let's see you be Oved Hashem like that. Of course, the other idea with the sukkah is to see, once the sukkah cannot be used for you anymore, as doing the mitzvah and getting a reward in Olam Haba, which is what they try to do. Let's see how you treat it. Do you go out behachna, feeling, oh, I can't believe I missed this opportunity to get closer to Hashem? Or do you kick it? It's not giving me anything anymore. What do I need this thing? And you kick it. And that's where they failed. And hence, Cheson Kis is something that's very vital in this whole episode in the Gemara and Avodah Zarah. We also understand the dialogue between the Goyim and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that they realized everything was for Klal Yisrael. And therefore they said, what do you mean, HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Look how much we did for Klal Yisrael. He says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu answers back, yeah, but you didn't do it with the right intentions. If you didn't do mundane things that you would do anyways, that you feel is a necessity, like building bridges, but you didn't have the right intentions to do it for Klal Yisrael and for their Torah, it's a zero. You're not getting any reward for that. And hence they asked HaKadosh Baruch Hu, okay, we understand. So give us a mitzvah now that we know the game, the rules of the game. Give us a mitzvah. We'll have the right kavanah. Just give us a mitzvah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives them a mitzvah. She'ein ba chesron kis. It's not even lacking physical pleasures. Afuch. You're getting a lot. I want you to be Oved Hashem like that. But no, the only way they are able to Oved Hashem is number one, if they get something out of it. And number two is totally separating themselves from the physicality. Totally separating themselves and giving themselves over to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but only for them to be able to reap benefit. If they don't get benefit, it's worth nothing to them. Yeh Ratzon that we'll take this idea with us as we enter these special days of Sukkos and then Simchat Torah, where we show HaKadosh Baruch Hu that we are trying to do everything with the right kavanas, and the most important thing for us is what David HaMelech says in Tehillim, Kirvas Elokim li Toiv. All I want to do is Ratzon Hashem, to get close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Have a good Shabbos and a good Yom Tov.
Thank you for joining us. This is the Prism of Torah. Visit our website, prismoftorah.com, where you'll find a full archive of hundreds of past Divrei Torah. Subscribe to the podcast, leave us a review, and don't forget to share with your friends and family. Sponsorship opportunities are available for all of our episodes. Thank you, Yona Vefa, for your recording equipment. Produced by Eli Podcast Productions.